Hey everyone, welcome to the Reel-ists podcast, episode 2.
Episode 2.
I'm Oscar.
I'm Donnie.
And this is our producer Ruben here as well.
Hello. Hello, Ruben says. Just to remind you guys, this is the Reel-ists podcast where we review movies and consider certain scenes and aspects from the film that would play out in real life.
Yes, indeed. And today's episode is going to be covering The
Greatest Showman. Woo!
We would play music if we could.
If only.
If only, one day. Yes, The Greatest Showman came out this Christmas season. I know I loved a lot of things about it. I know, Donnie, you want to talk a lot of things about it. Mm-hmm. I think we're ready to just go into the biggest thing about The Greatest Showman that we walked away was the music.
Oh, my God.
Hands down, one of the best musical soundtracks, I guess, would be the best way to describe it. Mm-hmm. A lot of great songs.
So many great songs. I was very excited to hear that the songs were written by the same lyricist who did the music for La La Land. Just got to throw that out there.
The disclaimer here has to be that Ruben and Donnie love La La Land, so
because it was the best film of 2016. But yeah, it was great. It was great. Loved the music. So good.
It was. I mean, we're talking about The Greatest Showman now, right? I just want to make sure we're not covering a 2016 movie. Just making sure.
That'll be for another episode.
Without me, probably. Yeah, like the music. I think the biggest one that is right now is currently nominated for a Golden Globe is "This Is Me."
This is me.
That song. It just. I don't know how you can't get inspired by that. Like, it's so uplifting. When it was in the movie, I didn't expect it that way. I expected it to kind of be like that statement, but it was kind of really just another song, unfortunately. But there's a lot of great shows.
Yeah, it was thrown in there kind of prematurely, I felt. Yeah. But it's fine. I'll take it how I can get it because that song is amazing.
I mean, because that was the trailers. That's what the trailers sold you with.
So you kind of went expecting it to be like the grand finale, you know.
Which, in and of itself, I can see how it plays into movie. I'm not saying that, it wasn't a good song in the movie or anything like that. It was just, at least the trailers made it sound like that was going to be the statement of the movie itself. And maybe it still is. I just feel like it didn't get treated that way. Yeah. So I don't know if this became like a realization of this is a really great song afterwards. And then they realized they couldn't do anything when the movie
right. Like, it was finished with post-production and it was already packaged up and shipped out, ready to be seen.
It's like, oh yeah, but let's sell this song.
Yeah.
Other songs that we liked. I know you have your favorite.
"Rewrite the Stars," performed by Zac Efron and Zendaya in the film. Ruben's smiling because he loves that film too, right, Ruben? Oh, really? No? Oh, he doesn't.
It's okay.
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's why you're not on the show. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. No, loved "Rewrite the Stars." That was my second favorite song from the movie. Just loved it. I mean, you're gonna find out. I'm someone who in terms of movies and music, I'm a sucker for love. So I love to see love and love to see
and sing about love
and see love between two people, especially these two characters, because it was back in the 1900s, and it is a white man and a black woman, and it's they're kind of who cares? Let's rewrite the stars. It's just great. It was great. It's melodic. It's memorable, at least for me. So that was my second favorite song. But yeah, hands down, "This Is Me" is the song. But what other music did you like from the film?
My song, aside from "This Is Me," I think that's our number one. But my song is "The Other Side."
Yeah,
I think I like it more
that was a great one too.
Visually. I think I like the scene, the way the scene plays out.
The choreography.
Yeah, I think that more so than the song. But when you listen to the song, you can't help but enjoy that part. So it's not like when I listen to it, I'm thinking just the lyrics of the music. I'm thinking of the scene. So that's what I get excited for. But I mean, the other ones were good. I know the never enough when she performed solo.
That was beautiful. Oh
that was great. The intro, I understand it at the end of why they started with that. Mm-hmm. Because at first I was like, dang, they're really trying to make a statement.
Make a bold statement.
Yeah,
dude.
The greatest show.
Yeah.
This is the greatest show.
Yeah, I was like, the song, yes, I think it adds to the story and the plot, and I think it's necessary. It wasn't my favorite song, but I think it had its role. It had its role in the film.
Yeah, I mean, Hugh Jackman, I think, just had to like get your attention.
Yeah,
I think that's what they went with.
Yeah, and it definitely grabbed your attention.
Yeah, the Come Alive is the other one that's really popular. I mean, they're just parts that you sing. I don't know about you, but like there are parts that it's just parts that I tune. It's not even like I'm singing the whole entire song. I'm just repeating that same part. Like when the world becomes your fantasy, you know, like those kind of things. Like that's what I loved. Least favorite song, I think for me has to be Tightrope.
Aww.
Did you like that one?
I did like that one. She did her solo. I was feeling Michelle Williams on that one. Ruben wasn't, but I liked it.
I mean, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
But I feel like that is just like a solo single, like, you know, a radio kind of album. I didn't feel like that really would, like, if you cut that song out, I don't feel like
you would have missed anything.
Yeah, because it was with a side character. It wasn't really with one of the main characters we were following the entire film.
Right.
She was a critical factor in P.T. Barnum's life.
Right. I think it was just to give like for a little bit, like show her perspective.
Right, and I get that.
So, you know,
I mean, if they're gonna cover P.T. Barnum, you do have to show. I don't know if she needed her solo, but she could have been in like one of these songs. Yeah, I think the soundtrack is the biggest part of the film. I think like that.
I think for sure.
I think I would listen to the album more so than I would
watch the movie. Yeah.
Aside from the other side, I feel like because like This Is Me, like when they played it in the movie, it wasn't like
it didn't add anything to watch them perform the song.
Yeah,
like you can just listen to that song. Like literally every time I listen to that song, I get chills just by listening to it. So I don't necessarily need to go watch that scene from the movie.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. If we were to just score the album by itself, I definitely would give it like a rating for the album.
Yeah, for sure.
Some scenes that we liked. I know you liked the young P.T. Barnum. Well, you didn't like it, actually. No.
I didn't like it at all.
Let me clear that out. You did not like it.
But
it was something that stood out, so I think that counts.
So just in reference to like our podcast and, you know, looking at certain scenes and aspects, how they play out in real life, one of the scenes that comes to mind is the scene where P.T. Barnum is with his father.
Very early in the film. Not a spoiler.
Yeah. And they're obviously, you know, from the scene, they're at this kind of rich man's house, and the father is showing him, what's he showing him, like garments or like
he's kind of like
different fabrics or something like that, working for him, and the young P.T. Barnum makes his daughter laugh and blah blah blah. So fast forward, and he's like, "Sorry, sir, I made your daughter laugh." And the rich man slaps him across the face, and P.T. Barnum a hard slap, like a slap. Well, not like that, but a hard slap nonetheless. And P.T. Barnum's father just stands there. He does nothing. Now, granted, to put it in context, yes, not only was this, I think, at that time, maybe late 1800s going into early 1900s. Also, they were lower class, and this man's house that they were in was like, he was from upper class. But still, I just feel like any father that really, really loved their son, for another grown man to like come and slap him across the face, and he was a young kid, and then for his father to just stand there and do nothing.
Just to clarify, this was in like mid 1800s.
Really?
Yeah. P.T. Barnum was 1810 to 1891.
Oh, okay. So this was mid 1800s.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe if you maybe upper class could do whatever they want, and you know, if you're lower class, it doesn't matter. They can. I don't know, but I just felt like that scene was like, are you serious? Like, I don't know any fathers who would, at least nowadays,
any time period,
any time period, that would just stand there and let their son get abused and not do anything.
And that
not even like nothing. He just stood there. So
that brings the question: what, like, obviously we don't really know more about the surrounding situation of what's going on. Is that the first time he's got hit? Because he didn't react like, you know, I'm in shock. He was like,
yeah,
he was like, oh, I just did something wrong again. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like
maybe he's used to.
Yeah, it could be by his father. Maybe his father. I mean, there's some things that
we don't know. Yeah,
we'd have to get clarified on that. But for sure, yeah, like I feel like, and they didn't answer that. If I could understand if maybe the father didn't do anything at first, and then later goes to P.T. Barnum and says, you know, sometimes man has to take responsibility for his like
something
like they didn't
like they didn't address it at all.
I could see how that rubs off the wrong way from just like a kid being slapped. Very hard too. That scene I know was not a fun scene particularly, but you have Jenny Lynn that you wanted to talk about. The other part that kissing P.T. Barnum.
Yeah. So
it's not the romance you wanted.
Not the romance, no, because he was married. He's married.
That, I guess it could be a spoiler.
Married, yeah, spoiler possibly. Married. He's married to Michelle Williams in the movie, and basically Jenny Lynn, played by Rebecca Ferguson, she tries to make a move on P.T. Barnum, and he's kind of like, like what, like what are you doing? Like, I have a wife or whatever, and so then she gets mad at him, and then like as an act of revenge, as she goes on to stage that night and, she sings her songs and then P.T. Barnum comes out to join her so they can take their bow. And then she kisses him and all the newspapers are there. So they take a picture of it and publish it. And it's like, oh, what an act of revenge that was, which like, I feel like was so unfair to P.T. Barnum in the film because it's like, yes, he had admired her for her talent and she was like his biggest like kind of moneymaker or like at that time reason to come see his shows. But I feel like he never tried to like make it seem like, oh, I want to be with you. I'm into you like that in a romantic way. He just admired her for her talent. So, and I can totally see why she took that, getting that much attention from someone like P.T. Barnum in that time. Maybe she, was getting the impression that he did want to be with her, but it's like, I don't know. I think it was misunderstanding and confusion, but I feel like the way she reacted, which kind of quote unquote got him in trouble with his wife and caused some
the solo for the wife scene.
Yeah,
so that's
caused which is why we have tightrope. So.
I think one thing that I really loved, it wasn't necessarily a scene. I loved P.T. Barnum's confidence. His confidence really was, something you can appreciate because he just felt like he can do it. He felt like it's gonna work, and I feel like nowadays
very just optimistic, like this is gonna
right. And I feel like nowadays like confidence is sometimes lacking for some. It's like you don't have it all the ways. You kind of feel like what if they don't like it, what if it's not good enough? But he was like it's good, it's like it's gonna work, and he sells it too, and he sells it.
He does.
Imagine selling like cars these days. You're gonna be
the best used car salesman in the world.
But that being said, at the same time, the movie made it seem too unrealistic. I can understand that negative side of it, and I know a lot of critics started to get that part. And I know we're going a little bit more in depth into the historical accuracy in a little bit, but that was also like a con as well. It was like it's too confident.
Yeah,
and it worked, and they made that work in the movie. Like they made that be like the overall like anyone can do anything kind of in the movie, and I think they took it too far with that because. I guess we could just go into the cast overall, but I feel like, yes, Hugh Jackman was the biggest character, for sure. Makes sense. But I feel like we didn't really understand the other characters. I think Zac Efron is like the closest second that we really kind of got like, he wasn't confident, but he was content until P.T. Barnum kind of said like, hey,
come join me on the other side.
Yeah, that's where that song comes in.
Right.
So I feel like that was great. Any performances that you liked? Anything?
Obviously Hugh Jackman is amazing, one of my favorite actors, and he did great. I really like Michelle Williams, and her character wasn't the biggest in this movie, or like, we didn't see too much from her perspective. A little bit, but she was good. Zac Efron, I really did like. And if that was him singing, which I think it was, he really sold me with the singing in this movie. I haven't seen like High School Musical or any other thing that he's sung in.
Surprisingly, has not seen High School Musical.
I know, right? Not even as a kid, but he did really good, and I really was into it.
I think that's the sad part is a lot of these characters didn't get the chance to develop or getting a chance to do something in the film aside from being in the circus. Yeah, being his like chess piece. It felt like it sometimes.
I am glad that like Zac Efron's character and Zendaya's character, like kind of they were kind of giving you something there and seeing how their relationship developed.
But Zendaya, like, I didn't feel like I knew Zendaya's character. I didn't feel like I knew she was playing Ann Wheeler. I didn't feel like I knew her. I felt like
we didn't get a lot of background, and even like in her, because a lot of the scenes she did with her quote unquote brother in the movie.
Yeah, like did the guy talk? I feel like
I don't think he even he maybe had one line.
Yeah,
but it's like I was curious. How did you two get involved in like doing air?
I think were they
gymnastics or something?
Yeah, were they considered freaks by their talent or?
I guess I think for their talent, because they can swing in the air and he can throw her in the air and all that kind of stuff. So.
I mean,
and I'm sure the fact that they were black too, I'm sure that had something to do with it.
It had to, given the time period.
Yeah.
That, I mean, for sure, the cast, for what they were given, they did their job. I guess that is a negative aspect, is that, there's not much we can talk about it. The only thing we can talk about is Hugh Jackman and I think Zac Efron.
But maybe that's not so much the actor's fault as it is just like maybe the script. Not that it's his fault, but like it's the script. Like if there wasn't solid like background stories or anything to get to know the characters more in the script, like they just only had their lines to go off of, so it's like we couldn't get really like background on the characters.
Like the circus freaks,
like origins of the like of every circus.
I mean, I don't know.
Maybe that's a separate movie. that's a prequel to The Greatest Showman.
I don't know. I think about this and I'm like, the Greatest Showman was about P.T. Barnum's ability to create the circus. I get it. I 100% get that was it, and it wasn't about the freaks. Maybe that was a thing. The freaks can be anybody. Maybe they were trying to do some kind of subtle message.
Yeah.
But yeah, I kind of wanted to know them, and we only got like glimpses of them, like when he was recruiting them. That was like the biggest scene. That was their spotlight. After that, they were running in the background doing the dance.
They're all together, and
I feel like the combination of lines is like 10 that they had all together.
Right.
With like, I think the bearded lady being the one that had the most lines because she sang too.
Oh my God. Can we just talk about, I mean, I know we talked about This Is Me, but we didn't even mention her. What a voice. And she had quite a few lines.
She did.
And I would have loved to have gotten to know her more.
Right.
She was amazing. I mean,
we get why she was a freak, bearded lady. It's pretty obvious. Like, that makes sense. I get why she would be shy, but I feel like, how did she know she could sing? I feel like there's some things that's like,
right. Are they aware? I know this is a musical, but are they aware that
they're singing?
They can sing, or is it
P.T. Barnum's imagination?
Yeah, exactly.
Some questions. I know the biggest thing the movie got criticized for was the whole like accuracy of
historical accuracy.
This moment, and how it didn't go all that way, and there was more to it. I understand that, and I feel like that criticizes the film more so than it should have. I feel like, and I know we talked about this like off the podcast, but I feel if it didn't have that historical moment, like if this was not P.T. Barnum, but this was T.P. Narnbum, if this was just somebody else, I don't think you would.
There wouldn't have been that criticism.
Yeah, you wouldn't have been like, well, this movie was inaccurate, therefore it only gets a decent score. Or
I feel like that's kind of just like
it's a 50% on Rotten Tomatoes, I believe. It may be around 50%, but
I feel like that's just like the double-edged sword whenever you do a based on a true story kind of movie or whatever. Like anytime there's like, if it really happened, people are gonna look to see how accurate the history is in it.
And some critics are gonna they're gonna jump on that.
And then, but that's also the same thing, like because it was, a quote unquote true story or whatever, like that is what drew people to it and like wanted to know more about the story and like, oh, this really happened. So, but I totally get why it was criticized, but then at the same time, I'm like, well, it's kind of not fair. It does say based on the imagination of P.T. Barnum.
I think we discovered that. Yeah,
it doesn't necessarily say this was a true story, like everything happened this way, but.
That's the thing. I feel like if it was not P.T. Barnum, I feel like this score for audiences would have jumped up to like 70. I feel like the history, like every review you look at talks about that.
Yeah,
and they downplay the movie because of that. So I feel like that's unfortunate. That's really unfortunate because the movie is really like inspiring in different ways. Like you have the, you know, if you're different, that's okay. Yeah. You have that aspect. You have the
embrace who you are.
If you have an idea, go for it.
Right.
You never know what could happen.
Don't stop.
Right.
You know, keep. Yeah. It definitely has a couple of different messages and
I feel like in today's
or even like his wife, played by Michelle Williams, how she grew up very upper class and rich, and then when he came to marry her, and then they went and lived this kind of lower class life, and had 2 beautiful daughters, and she was completely content with that, and like that, having her husband and her daughters and having a family, that was her richness and wealth. So it's like that's a great message too. Like you can have all the money in the world, you know, being happy, but if you're surrounded by the people who you love most, you know, that's like you're rich. I love that idea in any movie, but in this movie too, it was great.
And with that, if you really like consider it too, it's like it still can be, you know, reflected today's society. Today's society, you know, we have a lot of people that still feel like, you know, they're an outcast, or, you know, they have one single thing that's different. Therefore, you know, the whole, you know, thing. I think the biggest thing is like the LGBTQ. Did I even say that right? I hope I'm saying that right.
You did.
Yeah, right.
LGBTQ.
Okay. Yeah, like that probably is like the most relevant thing right now, where, you know, if you classify as something not homosexual,
heterosexual.
If you not, yeah, you get what I'm saying. You know, if you classify something else, that is like today's version possibly of like being different in not in, you know, good way, but it's turning. That's a great thing that it's turning on that part,
right? And it's films like this that I think
that shows that like it's there's always been a case where, you know, people are different. There's always going to be they're never going to get to a point where everyone's the same, and I think at that point that's virtual reality, or that's
Sims.
that's a simulation. You know, we're not living in a real life anymore. So that's sad that the P.T. Barnum's historical like accuracy part of it shook down the film. I didn't really care about that. I know when I was watching it, I understood that they weren't going for like this is the story, and I think you said it best. They state it's the imagination of P.T. Barnum, so it was taking the positive out of it. It's kind of like when, you know, someone passes away, you don't really think about the true like negative aspects. You kind of just want to look at the overall positive that they had on everyone, of like, you know, this person was caring, this person, you know, all the great things, despite the truth being there. But, you know, it's not, doesn't need to be mentioned, you know, like that. I just feel like that's where it's too much at that point. So
yeah,
I don't know. I feel like that's not fair. But that being said, back to the positive moments, Donnie, any favorite moment that stood out to you? Anything, or at least anything we talked about already, but anything that you classify as your favorite moment?
Probably my favorite moment. I'm probably just gonna have to go with "This Is Me" when they perform "This Is Me," because it's like, I feel like, I mean, it was like we said, we wish it had come a little later in the film, which was more like a grand finale. Yeah. But at the point in which it did happen, you know, kind of the door was shut in their face, and they were like, you know, at that point, kind of spoiler, P.T. Barnum was basically like with all the, you know, aristocrats of the time, and the freaks wanted to come in, quote unquote freaks, and he was like, no, like he was like, you know, just go away, and, you know, we'll talk later, because he wanted to have his moment to shine. But like the only reason why he was shining is because of all of them, their because of their, you know, their uniqueness.
Yes.
So it's like, you know, and so they were kind of turned away and had the door shut in their face. So I think that was the perfect time to have that song come on. And once again, I mean, it's just that's my favorite. I think my favorite thing about the film. I think I would have liked it, even if that song wasn't in this film. The film would have been good, and the other music was good, but that was like the most memorable part of the movie.
My favorite scene, hands down, to me is the other side. Yeah. I really,
that's probably my second favorite scene.
I really just enjoyed like P.T. Barnum's confidence, like that. I think that's the thing I take away the most is like, if you have the confidence, people really won't see like you don't know what you're doing, you know, or doubt you. But he sold it.
Sold it.
Well, I mean, Hugh Jackman's performance sold it, where his confidence was like, he's got this. Like, I would trust the guy at that point if he would have told me like, oh, I need you to come join us. You'll make a difference. I'd be like, I'm gonna make a difference.
Yeah, right.
And plus, the choreography was amazing.
It was really well. Like the choreography was really, really well done.
Yeah,
it was really entertaining to watch. And then you had and them like jumping on top of the bar and jumping down. It was like, like the camera was, you had like going up and down and left and right, and they were using the whole set, like the whole, bar that they were in, where, I'm sure it was just a set, but
and what I just feel like, because the song too was more dialogue, was more back and forth, it worked out with the scene.
It did. Yeah.
Like, I really felt like they were actually talking. They weren't singing. This wasn't like break from reality. This was like, we're negotiating here, but at the same time,
there was negotiation in the song, which was really cool too.
But that they're doing that, but they're doing it in the theme of what the movie is.
Yeah.
I loved it. I feel like that was the best part. I mean, the song, hands down, is This Is Me, but moment in the movie, for sure.
In the movie, absolutely. Yeah. Okay, well then, if I can't use This Is Me, then I'm going to say Rewrite the Stars. Because, I'm sorry, I'm kind of backtracking, I know, but I do love, because they were, they were together in that, what was it? I mean, like where the circus was, but nobody was there. It was just kind of like Zendaya rehearsing, I guess, her acrobatics, on the ring. That was, and they were like on the ground, and then they would shoot, they would both grab onto the ring, and then they would lift them up together. And it's like, that, like we were talking about with the other side, like the movement, and I feel like there was a lot of movement. And for the song to be Rewrite the Stars, you kind of want to be up, like in space or in the sky. And like, I feel like there was a lot of that, like them shooting up together in the sky. So I think visually that was probably my favorite scene in the movie too.
And the message, right? The message of like, don't go with what people assume, or saying you can't be together or anything like that.
Yeah, like don't basically. Yeah, like let's change it. Like let's. Yeah, I can talk on. I can go on and on about that song too. So let me not.
I mean, it's very positive, and I think overall the movie is positive.
Very much so.
I mean, yes, you can go in and really bring it down with like it was like fictional in some manners. I get that. But yeah, I mean, I think if you listen to like the special features or behind the scenes kind of things when the Blu-ray comes out, you will understand that that's what they were going for. They were going for, love yourself and, be confident, and things can happen if you want them to. It's not like, you can't do basketball, then yeah, you're never going to be, the millionaire kind of like so, but maybe you might be a great, businessman or something. Like, you can find something. Be hopeful. Our grade, Donnie, how many reels do you give this movie?
All right, so this is out of 5 movie reels, right?
Out of 5 movie reels.
So I'm gonna give it. We can do halves, right?
Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna give it 3.5 movie reels. 3.5 out of 5 movie reels. Yeah, that's my score.
That is my score as well.
Oh,
the album is a 5. 5 reels.
Dude, for real. Yeah, the soundtrack is a 5.
Or disc. 5 disc. 5 out of 5 discs.
Yeah.
But the movie, yeah. And the reason I give it 3.5 isn't necessarily from the criticism or the accuracy or anything like that. It's just that I felt like the pacing of it was like kind of like, when someone's telling you like a recap and you're kind of just like, oh, and this happened. Yeah. Oh, and then this. Oh, yeah. Oh, and there's also. Yeah. And then this. I feel like that's how it was. I didn't feel like it was like a very just like flow of like the story. I felt
it was like event after event, turn of event after turn of event. Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like that hurts it.
Yeah.
Because as much as there's great message behind it, at the same time you need to make sure that the story you're telling has like different aspects, has some depth to it. Right. It's a great positive message, but I feel like that's equivalent to, when you like get a get well card, like it says like a great message. It says get well soon, but it's the person has to like write of like, you'll do this, you can stick through it. I know you've done it before. This is just a minor setback. I feel like that's kind of like how it felt the movie was. It was like, it was a great card. It was a great cover. But, how can I connect?
Right.
Instead of just motivating me, how can you make me feel like I'm a part of, the message? I don't know. I feel like that's my score. 3.5 out of 5 reels.
Right.
Any final thoughts, Donnie? Would you recommend it?
I would definitely recommend it. I think it's a film that everyone can see, which is I love those films too. Like it's not like some other films that it's like, oh, I can't take.
Was there? I don't think there was anything bad. I think, I don't think there was anything that would be like, don't take your child to this. I think. What was the rating? Was it
PG-13, right?
Was it PG-13?
I think it was. It wasn't R. It was.
No, it wasn't R for sure.
For sure.
It could have been PG, but I think it could be PG-13 for just some parts that I can think of that require parental vision. But I feel like you can take your child to go see this.
For sure.
I personally think the soundtrack should be played. Like I feel like you should listen to the music first. And you can kind of understand the movie with the music, but I feel like you should listen to the music first. Know the lyrics, so when This Is Me plays, you can feel like you're part of that song.
I feel like you can listen to the soundtrack, but just go see the movie.
Definitely recommend
it all in one.
Highly recommend it. Is it one you would say in theaters? Would you say?
I would say I liked it in theaters. I mean, you can see it there. I feel like there are some movies where like you have to see it in the movies, you have to see it in theaters. This one, I don't necessarily think you have to see it in the theaters, but it is nice to see it in the theaters and to just be immersed in it. And I mean, because it is like portraying this circus, so you get to see that and like all those things on a big screen is cool. And then to be immersed in the music, like fully immersed in it, is great too. So I think you should see it in the movies. But if you want to wait for the DVD, that's fine too.
I personally, I think now I think about this more, I feel like if you get interested in the soundtrack, if like 4 out of 5 songs, well, I mean, I don't know how many songs you will judge it by, but if over half of the songs that you listen to the samples of or whatever you like, you need to see the movie in theaters.
Yeah.
If you're just like, you're not feeling it or whatever, then I think you can pass on the movie. But I feel like the soundtrack is your best way to preview it if you really want to see it or not, because the music is positive and the movie's positive. So if you're just like, the movie is too positive for me, or it's it's not, I don't feel like it's true, whatever, then listen to the soundtrack.
Watch the movie.
That's your best preview. If you like it, watch the movie. If you don't like it, watch the movie. I feel like I'm gonna just
watch the movie.
Just say that for no matter what. Just watch the movie, even if you hate circus. I don't know. I don't think there's any people that hate circus anymore. Actually, when I think about it.
I don't know.
Do people hate the circus anymore?
Yeah, I feel like there are like advocacy groups that are like, because of the whole like animal cruelty thing, where they like train elephants, but like use.
But it's not even for the people anymore. Now it's for the animals. Interesting. I actually haven't been to the circus. I'm not gonna lie. So
I don't think I have either. But I remember seeing some documentary about that. Like, don't support the circus. It was like a big deal. So. Anyways, so we're getting sidetracked here.
Go to the circus, watch the movie.
Right.
That's essentially our review of it. We hope you guys enjoyed it. I apologize if we spoiled anything. If you haven't seen it, I know we didn't give you the warning. We'll try to keep up on that.
We're still new at this, so give us.
But we hope you liked it. Thank you again for listening. We hope to see you real soon on our next podcast.
Thanks, guys.